This is the crossing over prayer. It's been tested all over the world. We know that it works, and it's one of the most compassionate things that the living can do to help the dead. This is the crossing over prayer. Dearest Lord above, I humbly request that you take any and all souls who have found my divine light of service into the heaven world right now. I ask that an angel wrap each soul in a blanket of healing light right now. I pray that every single soul will use the light bridge provided by my angelic team to transition into the heaven world right now. I send love and healing to all souls, no matter how they died, no matter their level of guilt, without any judgment or prejudice whatsoever, right now. May the light of your love, Father, embrace and keep all of these souls now and forever. Amen.
A lot of people ask us where this crossing over prayer came from. And the truth is we would think that it would come from, sitting on a mountaintop, meditating. But it actually came while Tina and I were at a mall.
My iPhone broke.
So did mine.
What a concept. I'm kind of, I don't know, klutzy with my iPhone.
There's no such thing as accidents, though.
Everything happens for a reason, even if you can't understand it at the time. And we each had simultaneous appointments at the Apple store to get our phones repaired. And we're in this lovely mall. And across the street, across the way from the Apple store, is this gorgeous, super high-end handbag store.
So we had a few minutes to kill. And we go into this handbag store. And we had just published Ghost Stories from the Ghost Point of View.
Volume 1, and that was in 2012.
And while we're in the store, you start talking to one of the salespeople that are there about the book. And she says,
"Oh my gosh, the store is so haunted. You have to help us." Oh, I can't stand to open the store.
Well, and what we found out was they were telling us that they would come back so they wouldn't be alone to open and close the store. It was that haunted. They would,
Who knew?
Sally would come and meet, Joe to close and open the store together so they weren't alone. And they asked us if we could help them, and we said, sure, we can. And as we're remote viewing or we're looking at the ghosts in the store, we see three ghosts.
And one of them was a homeless guy who, and there were some homeless on the other side of the mall by the trolley tracks. And
living homeless.
People who were alive.
This guy was a dead homeless guy.
This was a dead homeless guy. I'm so glad we clarified that.
Yeah.
And he was attracted to all the women who would come into the store. Can't imagine how many other stores in that mall are haunted. But, I mean, it's a wonderful mall. I mean, I really, really love it.
Yeah, so there was a pervert, basically, in the back dressing room. And there were two women who shopped till they dropped, and apparently they kept shopping. And these two women would they would throw the pillows around, the jewelry, they'd make the jewelry move that was hanging on the racks, and just really creepy ghost stuff.
They would make the racks move, and the clothes on the racks would move, and the sales staff could see these racks moving, and they were terrified.
And we ended up crossing over those three souls, and life at the store was great for a while.
And we gave them our number and said, gee, if anything else happens, let us know. A couple days later, we get this frantic phone call. We have more dead. You got to help us.
And we're thinking, we can't keep doing this for everybody. So what are we going to do about this? How can we help people to help themselves?
And so I went home and sat down, and
this prayer just poured right through you.
This prayer just came to me, and I just couldn't write it down fast enough. And sometimes when you ask the divine to assist you, then that information can come pouring in, and that's what I did. Felt like I was someone's secretary for a minute. It was such a wonderful, prayer.
We had it translated in a bunch of different languages, and there was a Jewish cantor who said that this prayer is almost identical to another prayer that they use to help cross over souls.
And he said it was a 15th century prayer. It's very obscure, and maybe not a lot of people in the Jewish faith knew about it. And he said, so it was his honor to translate this prayer. Well, we've had it translated into many languages, and what's really important about the prayer is it doesn't discriminate in any way, shape, or form, because there's no differentiation between us
Right.
at the point of death other than what our frequency is when we die.
When we cross over the dead, we don't hold judgment. We just simply have a job to do, and I think that's really important key element. There's just a job to be done to cross them over. So when a soul, a ghost crosses over into the heaven world, that's when they get the soul restoration and healing that they deserve and need, no matter what they've done in life, no matter what they've done in death. When they get that access to the heaven world, then better things can happen for the living and the dead.
So I asked the store managers if they would beta test this prayer. And they did, and I think I only tweaked it one time with just like 1 or 2 words. And after that, they used it every morning and every evening when they open and close the store. And she said they were good to go. But there was more. One of the managers was married to a resident in training at a local an area hospital, and he would come home and he'd be kind of angry, and they would, kind of bite at each other when he first came in the door. And she mentioned that to us, and we said, use a crossing over prayer when he walks through the door. He goes in to change clothes and wash his hands or whatever. Say the prayer.
She started doing this, and she found that she got her husband back. And she also noticed that things in their home stopped breaking, which is definitely a sign that you may have other entities that are unseen. Their water issues stopped happening. They had all kinds of irrigation leaks and a kitchen sink leak, and these things stopped happening, and her husband became her husband again.
And he said, something changed. What is it? So she told him about the crossing over prayer, and that I know it's an alien concept, but there are ghosts in hospitals as people pass away.
Yeah,
inside.
Ghost hunters have it all wrong. You don't need to lock yourself in a dark, dingy ex-prison. Just go to a hospital. Go to the liquor section at any Trader Joe's. There's ghosts there. And take the crossing over prayer with you.
Take the crossing over prayer with you. And so she was using it. The people in the store were using it. And we've had people use it all over the world. One individual in Amsterdam uses it to go to World War II battle sites throughout Europe. He says the prayer over and over and over. It helps to cross over the dead from the multiple wars that Europe has endured.
And what about the client, this elderly woman who always saw ghosts and couldn't sleep? And she ended up getting the crossing over prayer, and she used it. And that morning in her shower, she saw the words "thank you" written
in the steam
in the mirror.
And it made her cry because she'd seen ghosts all her life.
She didn't know what to do to help them.
She didn't know what to do. And she's a very kindly, very lovely lady. And the thought that she could now, she stood up a little straighter, and she
slept at night.
She slept at night. And her family wasn't as worried about her sanity when they realized that she just had psychic ability, and now she had a tool to use to help the dead. And that's truly our most passionate and compassionate wish, is that every person who sees this video will use the crossing over prayer to help the dead and the living.